What is up, guys? Jake here with the next Vainglory video, and I have got a spectator match for you guys. And as always, my cohort, Whistle This. What's going on, buddy?
Hello, what have raised?
All right, man. We got a draft mode match here, and immediately the Adagio Black Feather Band. Boom, gone. I
Apparently
don't know.
somebody
Wait a
been
minute.
watching the
Black Feather.
VGLs tonight.
Yeah, maybe the Black Feather they're debating on still. We'll see if they might want to try to pick him up, but they do not have first pick. But yeah, Black Feather goes away. Ooh,
Ooh,
quick Vox pick there. So she better be 18. I'm not sure if he's actually playing that or just picking it up quickly. Probably going to be, let's see, Catherine, who would you pick up against that? Vox? Ringo?
I tried to. I tried to. You want to bully him out? Get a Ringo
Yeah.
or a Sky.
Yeah.
You can bully him out
Or
with
Scarf.
Sky
You
or a
could
Scarf.
put a little
Yeah.
poke on him with Scarf. A lot of options there against that Vox. But if you let him get built up early game or late game, excuse me, he's going to be a nightmare. Ooh, maybe a Sky pick here. We'll see. I would say Ringo.
Reggie in the house.
Reggie saying what's up in the
Did you
video.
hear that? I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, yeah. Are they gonna let this tick down? Oh my
Oh
god.
wow.
The dodge from college. Hopefully they're gonna repick here. We'll get back to where we were. Should be a Vox pick up here, and then a excuse me, then a Catherine, and looking at the Ringo but didn't pick it up. So we'll see what they do here. Should be
Gonna
the
get
same thing.
a little Oscar nomination for editing there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We edited that right. That's the magic of editing, bro. All right. So what's Collie gonna do here? Is he gonna pick up this Ringo, or is he gonna go for that Sky? He was bouncing back and forth on him. Not sure.
I think he wants to go Ringo, but he's a little unsure of himself.
I would take the Ringo there and try to really pressure that Vox early game. But looking at just what they're hovering over, I think he did pick up the Ringo. The blue team, they are just hovering over that Taka. Are they going to go into that, or what are they going to do against this Ringo here? Taka would not be a bad pickup. Only problem is they've got a counter pick left.
It's gonna have to be a weapon power Taka. So.
Well, that's viable. It's viable. Ooh, we possibly see an Ozen.
Ozo. What? No, I bet he goes Cruel. He's been hovering over that Cruel quite a bit.
Yeah, they're playing mind games with us. They're trying to duke us out. Oh, there he goes. Picks up the Cruel. Who do you pick for this last pick to counter that Cruel?
I think you go Sky, to be honest with you. Or
Sky would be a
or
good one. I'll tell you something else might be a good one as a pedal. I've seen that go against Cruel effectively. We'll see what they decide here, though. But Sky would definitely be a solid pickup there at the end. Ooh, a Kashka? Ooh, I don't know about that. We'll see if they go with it.
Sky, a CP Jewel. CP Jewel be
CP Jewel.
good too.
There's the pedal we talked about. Might pick it up. Looks
Don't
like they're
know.
going to end up
Three,
on the
two. Oh,
Kashka.
gosh. I
Wow.
don't know. Early games gotta go to. You
Yeah.
better be 18. Sparta and Lightsbane, man. Koshka's just not enough. They just cut her a little too much. In this
They
patch.
did nerf her, and she is down, but obviously she's going to be cruel in the early game fight. So the whole thing here is just to really pour it on early, try to stay ahead. I think if this game goes past 18 minutes, blue team has the upper hand for sure.
Oh, definitely. That box set. Once he gets to that third tier 3 item, it's GG. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We'll see. Hopefully, we've got some fixed lag issues. We know we have done a lot of things trying to help it out. I've done all I can on my side. All the advice from my boy Whistle, I've taken it. I've taken it to heart. Uh,
so you can blame
I
me.
got nothing left. I've given you guys everything. I've got nothing left.
We have turned off like everything possible to turn off. You know,
Yeah.
we've
Yeah, I
we've
bought a new
we've,
router. I've
we've
got new
upgraded your
internet.
router. We've got fiber internet. Like I
I
don't
don't know what
know.
else to do. Yeah, I don't
Jake's
know what
gonna
else
be
to do.
broke after after this
Yeah,
is all
it's
said and done.
already the case. Colby coming in and is trying to flex that muscle early, pushing Vox back a little bit in that lane. But he's going to be able to get his last hits and just get his farm. He just plays it safe. He doesn't really have to be aggressive here. He can just let his wave do the damage and then grab those last hits, and he's in good shape.
Yeah, it's kind of your typical Ringo push that lane. Um, when I'm playing against the Vox, it depends who I have in the lane with a Koshka. I'm holding off on that wave. I'm letting that wave sit there, and then I want my jungle to go, 1, 2, 3 gank, so that I can try to knock him off.
Well, right away, I'm just shocked. This meal pick on this Koshka has just walked away from the store, not even looked at the enemy's jungle. So with this early game comp not being, in my opinion, nearly aggressive enough, Fox had not rotated down. They could have went in there and went for the fight, and they just did not do it.
Yep, and then here they come after Kawi. Don't quite have enough, but they got him. They got him pretty low. He's about 10% health right now.
Well, it's not a gank, but it's an effective gank. I mean, he cannot bully at this point. He doesn't have a book to heal back up, so it's just off potions. Vox can stand in front of him now and without any fear and take these last hits and really kind of put the pressure on him.
Yeah, he's got to sit back and assert and take whatever blue team's going to give him.
Definitely, yep. And then Spartan actually on that Artemis sort of hanging out babysitting too. So if Kali oversteps at all, he could actually get the gank finished off there. But he's starting to heal back up a little bit just over time. Milpick runs up, runs them out of that bush, so he can farm a little bit safer. We'll see if Mohan wants to hang around or if he's just coming for moral support there.
I think it's just moral support.
Yeah.
Little tap on the butt. Good job, way to go.
Yeah, they have all went back to their jungles. Now, again, can you believe that this Koshka has not even sniffed at the enemy team's jungle, not once?
No, I mean she's still an early game character. She falls off a little earlier, so don't push it early. It's everything you can do to catch up. And with a Cruel and a Vox, you're playing two extreme late game characters,
Hmm.
and you're playing Ringo Koshka. You have two extreme early game characters. You got to keep pushing, and you can't stop.
Yep, they're playing way too passively right now, which is not a bad thing in itself, except for as you just said, your team comp is. I mean, if they make it to this 12-minute point, this 10-minute point, even this mid game without any deaths, this game's over.
All right, right. There goes Kawi on the
Beautiful grab by
smite.
Kobe. Yeah, he just hung it. Cruel hung in that jungle, got that burst out there, put the damage on him, and they just finished him off with a quick spectral smite. Did not even have to build up stacks; just took him out. He was still low from that earlier gank attempt.
Yeah, and now this is a waiting game. This is the moment where Vox has the ability to free farm, as they say.
Mhm.
He's already out farming Ringo. He was already up by about 3. Now he's up about 10. Ringo is rotating right now.
I
Now
think he
he's
was just
coming
setting off
back
that
up. So
scout mine. Yeah,
yeah,
just
I mean
saw him place that scout mine. Oh, here comes a little bit of aggression. But look at that already because he's already got that armor and he just bought that up as his first buy. That damage from Kawi because really he hasn't farmed up that much. Not that scary until Catherine comes up and stuns you in the lane, and then all of a sudden it gets way scarier and he goes down. Nicely done by
Ooh.
Mohan there.
Yeah, it was a good play by Mohan on the Catherine. You need that from your roam, and the trend these days is for your roam to come up there to the lane and kind of hang out and collect that gold from the lane, so that you can produce those tier 3 out defensive items that you need quicker. And on
Right.
the
Yeah,
Catherine,
I talked about it in a video. If they're invading your jungle, then you've got to play that defense. You got to be there to help your jungler. But if they're not, you actually get more gold as support. You give your jungler solo XP. There's a lot of advantages to babysitting that lane, unless the enemy team is putting a lot of pressure on that jungle.
yeah, I think it's situational basis, but depending on who you have in the opposite side of jungle and you have in your jungle, you can't always babysit the lane. Sometimes you can't. You've got to be in the jungle. Ooh, there goes another smite from
Another nice
Lightsbane.
gank. A lot of people don't realize it. They sleep on it. When Cruel comes out of that jungle, if he has let his passive ability from the shadows build up, he actually has a built-in slow. So when he jumps out like that, he hits that auto attack onto to Ringo there. It slowed him down. I did not think she better be 18 on Vox was in position to get finish off the gank, but turns out he was just close enough to get that done.
Yeah, that's all you need. He's got that speed boost, and then he's got that slow, and then all he needs is those 3 hits to get that smite off. And Ringo's really squishy early game, so
Yeah.
it's somebody you can easily pick on. But going back to what we said, rotating and babysitting in the lane. If you got an enemy Taka, you can't sit up in the lane. You can't
Hmm.
babysit the lane because that
Right.
Taka can take over your jungle very quickly. And the thing about Taka is although he falls off late game, he can really wreck you early and mid game, so that when you do get to late game, you're so starved out that it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I
So
went on record and saying that I feel like Taka is one of the strongest mid-game heroes in the game, in my opinion. When he hits that power spike, whether he's got a tension bow or something like that, and it gets that level 6 and gets that ultimate, it is nasty.
yeah, there's not much you can do until you get some shield built up
Yep.
or some armor built up against him.
Well, let's look at the gold
Contraptions
here.
are fair.
Real close, honestly. 300 gold separating these two guys, or these two teams. And looking at the CS, Kali at 53, and she better be getting on that box at 68. So really dominating on the CS right now.
Yeah, he's Actually, a little bit above 10 a minute right now, which is pretty
Already has
nice.
picked up his aftershock, or excuse me, his alternating current. So he's already, if the fight breaks out and he lands that resonance and gets that sonic zoom, he is going to be doing a scary amount of damage already.
Oh, he's look what he's doing to Koshka there.
Exactly, you see it there. Unfortunately, you did see Arden step out too long and get out of position. Otherwise, that would have been all blue team right there on the back of Vox.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've seen a lot of, let's buff the Vox or let's buff the Ringo, let's buff the Black Feather, comps these days. But as it goes on Vox, on a traditional build for Vox, 3 crystal items is all it takes. And once you get
Mhm.
those 3 crystal items, it's all I wouldn't say it's impossible, but the climb is so steep, you know. And I don't know if he needs to be reworked or if his kit is just too powerful or what it is, but that usual build of AC, Broken Myth, and then a Frostburn or a Shattered Glass, and then an Eve thrown in there somewhere. He has so much sustain. He has so much AoE damage. He has the silence. He has a slow. Then he has, the the mobility from his A. Such an unbelievable tune to play.
It is. It is. He's a hero that is. He's a hard carry. I mean, this guy can do it all. Especially like you said, if you let him get that third inline item, it's almost good night if someone's not out of position.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched any today, but D'Enzio played some Vox. He played Ringo,
Yeah,
and he was a
yeah.
hard
That
carry on
kid,
Ringo.
that kid
And
is
then he
a
played a
nice gank
Vox
right there.
before that. But oh yeah, that was a
Yummy
good
Catnip
gank.
Frenzy landed right onto Vox and just absolutely no chance of living through that. Just deleted by the damage coming in from Collie.
No, and that's because of this build that Lightsbane has. It's not a build you see on Cruels right now. He's got a lot of weapon power damage right now. He's got a heavy steel, swift shooter, a 6 sins, and a crit with the minion's foot. That's not a build you see quite frequently in higher elo. They're getting a blazing salvo and then they're going tank because of his B ability, and his B ability doing so much damage. Don't need all that extra weapon damage, but
Hmm.
he is gonna be nasty early game, and he's gonna be nasty late game once he starts getting that defense up. But when
Absolutely.
but it's also a good call too because up there your laner is Vox. He's a late game character. So it's good to offset that late game with a little bit of weapon power so you can handle that early Ringo, you can handle that early Koshko, which they have done for the most part. They're down 1,000 gold, but they're up a kill. So, you
Well,
know,
and I will say that they have done a fine job. We're at 9.5 minutes, and there's no question they are barely behind on the goal count. They are, in my opinion, ahead of this game because of their compositions, but it's not because of anything they've done. Red team has just failed to put any pressure on them, besides a few gank attempts. And right there, a nice kill coming in. Ringo gets sort of out of position, not under his turret, not protected, and gets taken out. But just red team not putting the pressure on early game has, in my opinion, lost this for them. I do not see Red Team winning this game. I could be wrong. I know it's early to call a match, but my goodness, what are they going to do when Fox continues to build up? He gets that second, third tier item. Cruel continues to build up. He starts getting tanky. It's just going to be a snowball that runs out of control.
right? And they have done some things. They got a couple kills. They got objective with the gold mine, but that's kind of the problem with an early game comp. One objective is not good enough when you're playing the early game comp. By 10 minutes in the game, you should have a turret. You should have 2 mini mines. You should have a gold mine under your belt. You should have a few objectives,
Well, and
not one objective.
you should have denied them farm from their own jungle throughout that 10 minutes. They have not done that, I don't
Yeah.
believe, even one time.
Yeah, and it's an early game, an objective may be your back, or it may be the number
That's exactly
three or
right.
the fronts. It doesn't have to be the entire jungle or a turret or a gold mine. An objective can be, a minimum, what you think is minimal, but chipping away at somebody's jungle can be enough to starve somebody out. You keep getting
Well
that number
said.
three, getting those fronts, and they're not at high as level as you are. They don't have as much gold as you do, and it adds up over time. It's kind of like inch by inch. You'll get there.
Well said, but they catch him 2-on-3 in the jungle and get both of those kills off the back of it. Right here, she better be 18. Call. He's going to stick with it. He's going for this kill, and I think he's going to get it right here. One more shot. Oh no, the Sonic Tomb saves him, and he has put himself in a horrible, horrible position right here. The minions are on him. As soon as better be team realizes this. Colby is going to go down, and right there he does. But they are going to get a gold mine off of it, so at least something there. But that is an excellent point that you made. Early game objectives are not necessarily turrets and gold mines and minion mines. They are gold. And while right here we're looking at this game, we're at what, a 900, 800 gold lead. That's not a lot, but at 3 minutes, 800 gold lead is huge. So they have to think about it that way. Like you said, chip away at it with that early game comp, and then all of a sudden you're able to take them. You're able to dive a turret. You're able to take an actual objective just because you've got one inline item that they don't have.
Right, and like on that play when Kobe goes up there, he seems like he's out of position. He seems like he's not doing the right thing, and and maybe he's not because his team left. But in all reality, his team should have gone with him. Turret shots
Absolutely.
weren't on him; they were on Mohan. And if Milpick and Mohan go up with him, they get that kill and they all get out of there. Instead, they don't get the kill and Kawi dies, and they're back to getting some jungle. They did the smart thing. They went and got the three. They went and got the fronts, and then they went back to their jungle. So they getting that chip. The problem is it's Vox, and he's got
Yeah.
a alternate current. He's got a broken myth. He's got a couple defenses already. He's got a battery sitting there working, eventually to his eve. But he's got all the offensive power that he needs right now. And as you can see, he's just
Look at him turn that
melting
around
Catherine.
there. Holy
Just
cow.
melting Catherine. He's got his stacks. He's got 6 stacks right now. He dropped off his silence on his ultimate, and she had nothing for that. She already stunned. She didn't have her blast trimmers.
Coley
She didn't
should
have her
not have
bubble.
checked that bush there. Wow, and it turns it into an ace. That is a turret for sure. Probably a gold mine all over jungle. Just a little bit too curious right there by Coley stepping down. All three of them in that bush just waiting on them, and they turn it into a quick ace.
And this can happen. Play an early game comp and you don't play it like an early game comp, all of a sudden you become, a non-existent comp because
Exactly.
you didn't get the objectives, you didn't get the jungles, you didn't chip away, you didn't do the things that you needed to do, and then you have a Vox up there getting built, and he's so built that 13 minutes of the game, he's almost to his third item, you know, and he's got 5 kills, and he's got an infusion, you know, and
Yeah.
he's level 12, and your opposite laner's level 11, and all of a sudden he turns into an early game comp or a mid game comp. And when Vox is starting to ramp up at mid game, you're in for a mess of trouble.
Wow, look at that fight there. The Yummy Catnip Frenzy lands on the Cruel. They were 2-on-3 right there for a moment, but Vox rotates down and just turns everything around. Now it is going to be another ace, and they did not even get a kill for their troubles. Holy cow. Well, is there anything at this point, at 14 minutes, down 2 turrets, down about 2K, almost 3K gold now, is there anything that the red team can do to come back from this?
They have a shot. They have a Ringo. Ringo's still powerful mid game. He's still powerful late game. If they can focus that Vox and then turn on that Cruel, get 2 kills or even get that ace, they can get a push out of this. Kraken's not up for another 15 seconds. They still have a chance. They just have to play it right. They have to stick together. They have to fight as a team. The activatables for Mohan have got to be clutch. They've got to Atlas that Cruel. They've got to focus that Vox. And that Yummy Catnip Frenzy has got to get on that Vox. He's got to get on that Vox
Yeah.
quick. That second stun from Mohan's got to get on that Vox. Basically shut Vox down, delete him, turn on that Cruel, try to get that ace, and they can come back. Even though they're about a little over 3K gold down, they can change that in one fight. But they've got to get a
Well,
little
that
bit of
fight's
luck
going to be
to it.
right now. Millpick was shopping for crystal bits that were on sale and just got absolutely boxed in and deleted. Colby's going to fall right behind Box, closing in so much damage. Mohan's the only one left, and he might as well turn back around because it is a dead end. That is going to be cracking. That is possibly going to be game.
Could very well be game. 16 minutes in, Kraken's going down. I
Looking
don't
at
know
the
what you
gold,
can
they can
do.
all infuse up. I mean, Vox is already double infused. Cruel's got one infusion. He can double infuse. They can push this down the lane. And you see Vox already down into the base, just going to take out one turret before the Kraken ever starts. Millpick is up on that Koshka, but I don't think there's anything she can do. And honestly, does not even want to engage Vox right now.
No. I would, maybe if he has her ult up there, maybe lock him down and try to take him down before that Kraken gets to rolling to you. It buys you 15, 20 seconds, this early in the game. But
Well, he
He's
does
been
have a reflex
ransacking
block.
everybody.
Had if he reflex blocks that young cabinet frenzy, you have just jumped into a tiger's den. It would be all over but the crying.
Yeah. Yeah. If he does block that, it's GG. They did
Yeah,
take
yeah.
out those minions, and they're up front here, and this is a good thing. You only got one turret, so you kind of have to push forward. You can't sit back at your turret and hope for the best. But
Look at the
Kali
damage
was
coming out
extended
of
just a
Cruel.
little bit too much, and he's done. That one little inch he was out there took him out of the play, and now your biggest damage dealer's out.
Well,
Not much they
honestly,
can do here.
not much they could do there because again, because they got so far ahead, because there was no aggression, Cruel was able to build a much more damage focused build than what you normally see out of Cruel, with maybe just some attack speed and then straight defense. I mean, he's got a Sorrow Blade, he's got a Tornado Trigger, he is doing massive damage in his own right.
That's the beauty of playing with the late game champion or hero like Vox. So you can go a little bit more heavy on the damage early game, so that you know even if it doesn't go your way every time, by the time it comes to the late game, Vox is there and he's going to clean it up.
We're gonna have to scold She Better Be 18 for selling his build off, although we know what it was. We try not to do that here. People try to teach people. But yeah, you're absolutely right. She Better Be 18 on the Vox and Light's Bane on the Cruel. Both of them just absolutely dominant this game. I mean, just taking out deaths whenever they got onto somebody, they stuck to them. Vox collapsed, and it was just whoever was out front. And a lot of times it was happened to be Colby, so a little bit out of position on his part. But whoever was out front, even if it was Mohan, just got absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, nobody had a chance.
Yeah, yeah, just snowballed out of control. But again, as we harped on the whole video, if you're an early game comp, play like it. Put the pressure on them early. That's when you can win team fights. You got to have a huge advantage by the time this mid game rolls around. I said if this game made it to, I think I said 15, maybe 18 minutes, there was no chance of red team winning. Well, they closed it out even before that. That is a bad sign. But let's look at some builds. Let's talk about them. Cauley on that Ringo did go for a Sorrow Blade, did not opt for an early damage from a tension bow. Went with the Tornado Trigger, got the monocle, so he had a tremendous amount of damage to put out. He just wasn't getting an opportunity to use it.
No, he was a little overextended in a couple of those plays, and I don't care if he's got Starl Blade, two monocles, and a tornado trigger doing 100% crit. If you're not in the right position and you can't put damage out, then you don't have any damage to put out.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly.
and that's kind of a testament to when you're playing a Ringo Koshka in particular. Your jungle. No, you should know as a jungler, being a Koshka or a Catherine or whatever you are in the jungle playing the Ringo. Your whole purpose in life in that game is to protect Ringo.
Hmm.
Is if Ringo's alive, you're gonna win that fight.
Exactly.
So the, the problem with that is they didn't have a chance. Collie was just an ounce or an inch or half an inch just overboard, overextended,
Yep.
and all they needed was that Shiver Steel, that passive ability from Cruel. They have a slow from Fox,
Box. Yep.
and that was it.
Yep.
Or even a silence. He has no way to boots out or B ability out. And
Yep.
if you overextend just enough, with a Cruel and a Vox, you are there's so much utility on those heroes. You don't have a chance to get away.
Yeah, you can't do much damage from the house. But nice try to call. He did make some really nice plays, and he did make some nice kills there. He had three of them. Looking at Mohan, I really like the Atlas Pauldron pickup for Cruel. And as you were saying during the match, what they should have done is engage, put that Atlas onto Cruel, and then turn everything they had into Vox. Yummy Catnip Frenzy, Ringo just diving in without Cruel being able to do much damage because of the Atlas. He had a chance to delete that Vox and then maybe even retreat back, regroup, and try to fight him 2 versus 3. Obviously, Cruel is a terrifying force, even when it's just a two-man team left, because he's so tanky. He can just build those stacks up. He reduces your damage. But I feel like that was a good pickup there. Had the fountain, was working towards probably a Warhorn, just didn't quite get there.
Yeah, and you're right. You want to Atlas that Cruel, buy you that 4 or 5 seconds that you can, so that you can focus on that box, get that box down, and then turn on Cruel. Maybe Koshka comes out, maybe she doesn't. But you have that Ringo alive, and that's kind of the point of a carry. Like Vox, Vox stayed alive so much so that it didn't matter. He could overextend, he could push, he could be out of position because he was so ahead on gold that Ringo, Koshka, Catherine, or even all three of them couldn't take him down, but Half-Life at that. So when you drop an Atlas on Cruel, that buys you some time. Whether it is to whether you're going to kill Cruel or you're going to focus on another champion or hero. That's what it is, and that's what's a utility pick. And Mohan, that's a good pickup. It's a great pickup. But if you don't use it properly with your carries, then what's the point of it? If you don't Atlas him and then focus somebody else, or Atlas him and then focus him, it's not doing anything. It's
Right.
just okay. I'm going to slow him down, and then we're going to smell the roses. I mean, that's not
Right.
something. It's not something that works very well. Now,
Right. Exactly.
in this particular game, it was snowballed already. It didn't matter. It didn't matter who they atlased or what they did.
No. No. Yeah.
So that's the fault of them not playing their early game heroes. Their early game heroes, you got to close out early game.
Or at least have a nice lead early game. Looking at Mill Pick there, he built the normal Koshka stuff. He had the Aftershock, went for some defense, had a nice reflex block, and then went for that E for some stability because they were from behind. So I think all that was fine. I just think, again, I never saw even a motion like they were going to think about invading that jungle in the first, 5 minutes of the match, which really blew me away. But hey, it is what it is. Again, normal stuff coming out of that Koshka. Looking on the other team, the blue team, they had more than enough gold to spend. Arden picking up that Warhorn, that Fountain, that Crucible, normal Arden stuff there. They did a nice job laying down vision the whole match. So really good job out of Sparta there. And Lightspan, again, this is not what you normally see out of a Cruel these days. What you normally see is they pick up some attack speed and they go really, really tank heavy defensive, especially if they're being pressured early game. You force him into that defensive role. Instead, he was able to pick up this Sorrow Blade, this Tornado Trigger, and that Shiver Steel. And he, again, whether Vox was in the scene or not, he was a nightmare in his own right. He stuck to him. He took him out. Whoever he found in the jungle, he was on top of it like glue.
Right, and then, it's because it's so much time to farm. There was
Exactly.
hardly they got a gank or two, but they didn't get enough to cause him to hold back. They didn't push the lane, but he lost it to turret. He was ahead of Ringo the entire game. Excuse me. He was at 10 a minute CS, and he just sat there and farmed and farmed and farmed and farmed. And that's the exact opposite you want to do when a box is on a fold. You cannot let him get gold. If you let him
Yeah.
get gold, I don't care who you are or what you're playing, it's gonna be the end of it.
Well, and he got about 30% more gold than anybody on the red team, 9,700 more than anyone else on the fold. And he deleted his build, but obviously it was the Broken Myth. It was the Aftershock, the alternating current. I think he even had the Eve towards the end of the match there. And then just some boots and a little bit of defense. He had what he needed and was putting down insane numbers.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And that one fight they had at the turret, he had 6 stacks, and before he dropped his ultimate, and all of a sudden, all three characters were at half life. What do you do there? You
Exactly.
lost the game because you didn't do what you needed to do 5 minutes ago, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing about Vox. If you're playing against Vox, you've got to shut him down from second one. If you don't, he gets to that 15 minutes, he gets to that 17 minutes, he's farmed up. You failed, and I guess you hope to get lucky. You hope you have a good counter, but there's not much you can do.
Well, you have to count on a mistake at that point, and the blue team just didn't make it. They just poured the pressure on. They kept it going and got the win. So props to them. All well played. Again, probably just some tactical errors on the red team, but it was a fun game to watch, and we got through this one with no lag, man. So I don't know what you've done, but I think you might have helped
Right on. That's what I'm talking
me.
about.
All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, man. Thanks for doing this again with me. Hopefully, we'll do another one soon if we can maintain this no lag policy.
Yeah, I got to go back to my wine and my Red Bull.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Guys, I hope you all enjoyed it. Until next time, Jake and Whistle doing our best to help you guys suck less.